Hi everyone, this is Josh Kulp. We are learning Daf Shvui. We are on Masechet Gittin, Daf Lammed Zayin. And the Gemara is continuing to talk about the Prose Bowl, the document that prevents the release of loans in the sabbatical year. And when we really think about it, the entire history of the rabbinic interpretation and halachic rulings regarding the sabbatical year, the release of loans, is an attempt to find a way around the Torah's rulings. We can really even note this in the Torah itself, that seems to assume that people are not going to want to release loans in the sabbatical year for obvious reasons, and the rabbis develop certain various ways to make sure that loans are not released during the sabbatical year, because after all, we know what happens. That could threaten to shut down the entire system of loans, which is necessary for the economy, and I believe we talked about that last week. And this week I wanted to point out that we see two other such attempts. The first attempt that I wanted to refer to is somebody who returns somebody a loan on the sabbatical year. In other words, a person owes someone money, the sabbatical year comes, and theoretically, he doesn't have to return the money anymore, but he tries to return it. The creditor has to pay lip service to the release of loans. He has to say, "Tzarich sheyomar mishameteni," I am releasing you of your debt. However, the person, the debtor bringing the money back, should, and as we see in the story with Abaye and Rabba and the debtor, not only should the debtor say, "Afal pichen," even so I want to return you my debt. If he doesn't say that, right, we kind of force him to, right? It almost becomes an automatic social convention that while, you don't have to return loans after the sabbatical year has released them, but it is fully expected that you will, and if you don't, you're really being a bad citizen because you borrowed money, right? If you have the money to return it, then you should, right? You might even think about the sabbatical year release as a release for people who absolutely cannot pay back their debts. But if you have the money, if you have any ability to pay back your debts, then you really have to. You have a social and moral responsibility to pay back your debts. The same is true later on in the second part of this sugya, where Rav Nachman says a person is believed to say, "I had a prose ball and I lost it," and the Gemara says that's a case where the judge would sort of teach the creditor or the defendant in this case to make his claim. This way he could get his debt back. So that's another way, maybe not quite as effective a way, because you're kind of encouraging someone to lie if he says, "I had a prose bone, it was lost." But at least it's an automatic claim that legally can always get your debt back. And I just want to emphasize, I think this is very interesting. The whole rule of sabbatical year release is a very idealistic, good rule, but when we dig deeper into it, is very problematic. And the rabbis didn't erase it from the books, but rather they found ways to make sure that it didn't cause problems for their economy. And I think it's an important lesson as to rabbinic leadership and rabbinic management of society.